It seems that horror movies and literature are not as much fiction as we thought. After learning about these stories of real-life mad scientists, you will realize that the thirst for knowledge can lead some people to limits that can be frightening. In the name of science, do you want to know? I'll tell you about them immediately after the opening theme, which isn't there. Where is it? So my old sports, this is EdDevelop, where you will find the best scientific and similar curiosities. Subscribe and activate the notification bell to enrich your day every time we upload a new video, and consider our Patreon. Find the link below in the description. Now, it is time for the fun parts. You probably think that scientists are extremely healthy and intelligent people, but let me tell you something, old sport. The hours of work, the mental effort, and how exhausting the obligation to be someone who contributes to society can be a bit mentally damaging. So I'm going to tell you the 5 most impressive. Giovanni Aldini. Can lightning bring someone back to life? Do you like the circus? Then you will love the story of Italian scientist Giovanni Aldini. In 1803, this genius put on a scientific show in London that left everyone open-mouthed. His main attraction? The body of a condemned man on death row, which he had connected to a battery. Aldini defended the theory of galvanism, which held that muscles move thanks to electrical energy that reaches them through the central nervous system. And to test his hypothesis, he made the corpse move as if it were alive. According to a description in The Guardian, the jaw began to tremble, the adjacent muscles contorted horribly, and the right eye opened. He even managed to get the corpse's arm to throw a punch in the air. Incredible, isn't it? Although the idea of galvanism was not precise, it made sense. Today, we know that muscles can be stimulated with electricity and that communication between the brain and the muscles is done by electrical impulses. So, thanks to Aldini and his scientific circus, we learned a little more about how our bodies work. A bit bizarre, but cool, isn't it, old sport? Ilya Ivanovich Ivanov. Once upon a time, a Russian zoologist was obsessed with proving Darwin's theory of evolution. This guy was determined to prove that humans and apes were close relatives, and he had a crazy plan to do it. Crossbreed them. Yes, just as you hear, inseminate apes with human genetic material. What could possibly go wrong? But before Ivanov could begin his experiments, he ran into a little problem. He couldn't find enough suitable monkeys for his plans. So what did he do? He tried crossing other animals first, like a zebra, a donkey, a bison, and a cow. Sure, he was unsuccessful, but that didn't discourage him. He decided that plan B would be to implant ape sperm into human females. But just when he was ready, his proud sperm donor, Tarzan, died at the age of 26. What could Ivanov do now? All wrong at the time, old sport. But why on earth did the Soviet government fund such bizarre research? Some theories say that Russian bureaucrats believed that gorilla tissue was some kind of revitalizing tonic for humans and wanted to ensure a steady supply of the elixir of eternal youth. It also said that proving Darwin right would be a great propaganda coup against religion, and that Russia wanted to improve its race and preserve some physical and character traits it considered desirable. Anyway, Ivanov never managed to carry out his crazy idea, but at least he left us a story to laugh at and remember. Jose Delgado. One of the great scientific careers of the 20th century was that of controlling the human brain. And between aggressive and irreversible methods such as lobotomies and the development of psychiatric drugs, the Spanish neurologist Jose Delgado devised a middle way, implanting electrodes in the brain. Hey, wait! Now's the time. Subscribe to the channel to be entertained while learning. It's free! His most famous experiment consisted of stopping a fighting bull in the middle of a charge by remote control with an order sent by radio and received by the chip in its brain. The natural step was to try the same thing on humans, and he did so on about 25 patients. All of them desperately ill, he told Scientific American. The idea was to stimulate certain areas of the brain with electrical waves that emitted from the outside. His method was not very effective because it had limited and unpredictable results. It was also highly controversial at the time, as it opened the door to a scenario that has been raised many times in science fiction, that of external control of human behavior. He himself was responsible for stirring up the controversy when he published an article in which he claimed that his work could contribute to the creation of a psycho-civilized man in the future, a less cruel, happier, and better man. In any case, the installation of chips in the brain and other parts of the body has recently received a boost thanks to advances in the design of even smaller and more powerful semiconductors. semiconductors. Diseases such as Parkinson's and deafness are now being treated in this way. Delgado can therefore be considered a pioneer, even if he was not careful not to frighten people with his work. Did he become a bit incongruous? Probably, but he should be applauded for wanting to contribute to science. Sergei Brukhanenko. Imagine you are a mad scientist in 19th century Russia. You are obsessed with finding ways to artificially sustain life. How could you test your inventions without endangering human life? Well, if you're Sergei Brukhanenko, the answer is simple. Attach your heart-lung machine to the head of a decapitated puppy, and voila, you've got yourself a canine zombie. It sounds creepy, but Brukhanenko wasn't a heartless psychopath. He was looking for ways to save human lives, and thanks to his experiments, we can now safely perform open-heart surgery. That's right, thanks to a zombie puppy, we can fix our broken hearts. But please don't try this at home with your pets, my old sport. We don't want any more zombies running around. Stubbins Firth. What if I told you that an 18th century physician decided to experiment with the vomit of yellow fever patients to prove that the disease was not spread by the fluids of the sick? It sounds crazy, but that's the story of Dr. Stubbins Firth, a Philadelphia physician who lived at a time when yellow fever was ravaging the city. Firth became obsessed with discovering how yellow fever was spread and found that the incidence of the disease decreased during the winter. Why? He believed it was not spread by the fluids of the sick, so he set out to test his theory. He began by making incisions in the patient's bodies and pouring vomit into them. Then he drank fresh vomit from the sick, and he didn't catch it. But Firth didn't stop there. He decided to experiment with other bodily fluids, such as patients' saliva, urine, and blood. He injected these fluids into various parts of his body, including his eye, which could have blinded him. Fortunately, he did not become infected. As disgusting as it may sound, Dr. Firth's research contributed to our understanding of yellow fever and how it is transmitted. Later, in 1881, Cuban scientist Carlos Finley discovered that the disease was transmitted by a specific type of mosquito, a breakthrough in the treatment and prevention of the disease. So, thanks to madmen like Firth and geniuses like Finley, we know a lot more about yellow fever and how to protect ourselves from it. He deserves a standing ovation. You see what I mean? The desperate attempt to be right can lead to great folly. Fortunately for these scientists, they were able to help or be pioneers in the field in which they worked. What do you think about them? Which one do you think was the most radical? That's all for today, my old sport. Don't forget to like and share. See you in the next video.